Until the beginning of 2023, the fastest growing and adopted tech humans have ever created was crypto. Nothing has grown faster than crypto, ever, until LLMs came along. And LLMs, large language models, have been the fastest growing tech in history. ChatGPT got, what was it, 100 million users in 5 days? Something like that. But it's not just user adoption of these chatbots, essentially. No, that's a really bad way to put it. But AI is growing a lot faster in every facet than you can think of. So I just want to update the data set from which you form and base your opinions on. And a lot of this is really from this absolutely astounding guy called Leopold. And he was from OpenAI, he left OpenAI, and he wrote this lovely paper, and it's just basically lifted the skirt up of what's really happening behind the scenes with AI. And I'm just going to show you I guess the relevant points. But with AI, there's three things. You need compute, you need data, and you need un-hobbling. So obviously you need a lot of compute power to crunch these big old LLMs. You obviously need unique data, because all LLMs effectively have the same data. Every AI company out there has scraped all of the data from the internet. So unique data is really where the gold dust is for AI. But also there's a thing called un-hobbling. And un-hobbling is little fine-tuning tweaks that you can do with an AI and get it to think better, if that makes sense. So for example, in fact, a few cuddles ago when I did this presentation, I was talking about chain of thought. And now OpenAI have finally brought that in. So chain of thought is, if you basically have a chat with a human to ask them a question or about a thought experiment of some sort, the human would try and break it down and work through the question, if that makes sense. The bot didn't do that, AI didn't used to do that. So now if you can improve the chain of thought, it increases the effectiveness of the AI many orders of magnitude. So compute is growing half an order of magnitude per year. That's absolutely astounding. It's 3 times faster than Moore's law. But long story short, it's growing 1,678% per year in general. So when you look at everything, so compute, data, and un-hobbling gains, it's 1,600% per year. Which is why a lot of people were astounded to go from ChatGPT 2, which is really just guessing the next sentence, guessing the next word, etc., to GPT-4, which is actually smarter than most people. Like if you just go to ChatGPT 4 and ask it anything, it will give you PhD level questions if you want it to. But it's just going to get going. Like we have barely begun in terms of the acceleration. And it's going to be face-rippingly fast. And this is why 2026 onwards, it's going to be nuts. And so obviously, there's a lot of speculation about how fast this is going to go. And again, long story short, 2026 onwards, it's just going to be a blur. And everything is moving left. So everyone's previous assessments are getting faster and faster. So even the world's best experts are going, shit, I was wrong. I was too conservative. And Ray Kurzweil, one of the godfathers of AI, Elon, all those on the bleeding edge of AI are saying that we'll see AGI end of 2025 or 2026, which is just around the corner. And so, yeah, a lot are expecting before 2028, but the more I get into this, it looks more like 2026. And so the un-hobbling gains is you don't need any extra power. This is literally fine-tuning and tweaking the algorithm to make it think better. For example, when you're typing to ChatGPT, it has a terrible memory, which we find that hard to believe because it's a computer. Surely it remembers everything you type, but it doesn't. It will forget your prompt like 10 questions deep sometimes. That's getting a lot better. So if they can just improve the short-term memory of these LLMs, get it to think better. So instead of just blurting out an answer, getting the AI to interrogate the question a bit more, to get more data points. Yeah, so training data is getting quite thin now. They're running these LLMs through everything that's already out there. And the analogy I use is that if you have 4 of the best chefs in the world and give them 5 ingredients, like eggs, flour, milk, whatever, all those 4 chefs will come up and say, make as many dishes as you can. Those 4 master chefs are going to make exactly the same things. They'd come up with, I don't know, 100 dishes. But if you've got another master chef and said, hey, everyone's got 5 ingredients, I'm going to give you 6 ingredients, who's going to make more dishes? The one with this one extra ingredient. And that's the same when it comes to data. So the gold dust for AI is going to be proprietary data. So biotech companies, bio research companies really, universities. But even if there is a bottleneck in data, it's not going to slow it down much. You're really just looking at okay, we can slow AI down by a year, if that. Once AGI is born, whether it's 2026 or 2029, whatever, superintelligence is, so ASI, is like a year away from that. And this will be like aliens landing on Earth. We don't need to worry about Martians or anything. It's literally, it will be like aliens. And just how, I've got a 4-year-old and 6-year-old. When they start talking, you're like, I know exactly what you're trying to tell me after like the first 2 words. But you, as a good parent, you have to, okay, yeah, okay, they're trying to ask you a question. You already know what they're trying to ask me. Like, computers will feel that with us when they start chatting with us. Or, if I'm talking to my dog, yes, I talk to my dog. I'm a lot cleverer than my dog, okay? And AI will be like that. We will be the dogs, okay? And not just that, like as Elon said, they will consider, like, talking to an AI, they'll be like thinking that we are like a slow tonal whir, because midway through your first word, they'll be just doing something else. Because the rate at which we speak will be eternally slow for the computer, which makes sense. And that's the thing. Once you have an AGI, and I text to action, so you give it a problem and it will just go out and try and solve it, they can then just copy and paste themselves effectively. So you could have one topic, I don't know, dementia, and go, right, fix it, go. So at the moment with humans, you probably have a whole bunch of research labs around the world. Let's say you've got 10,000 amazing human scientists that are devoting their lives to curing dementia, etc. Or they have families, they've got to sleep, they've got to eat, they only work maybe or research 6 to 8 hours a day. They've got family holidays, they've got Christmas. Humans are shit in terms of for productivity. Whereas if you have an AGI, it's going to be working 1,000,000 times faster 24/7, but not just one AI researcher. You could make 100 million AGIs all focused 24/7 on one thing. So you could have maybe decades worth of research being done in a week. And not just that, if you have one human researcher researching something, that person is has insanely deep knowledge with one thing. So if it's dementia, you'll probably have a neurologist of some sort who's spent his or her entire life studying neurology. But maybe the cure for that sort of stuff needs parallel knowledges. Maybe you need someone that's really deep with chemistry or biology or physics or something. And a lot of new technologies and inventions and leading breakthroughs are done when you have lots of different siloed scientists all sort of collaborating to a degree. But if we have AGI, an AGI will be a PhD, master's level in every subject on the planet all at once. So it will be doing all these cross permutations of different subjects and silos itself. It won't need a team of 10 different scientists. The AGI will be a scientist in every niche. So when you say cure dementia, it'll be like, oh, okay, we need a bit of this, a bit of that, done. So yeah, once AGI is here, we're going to see an even faster improvement of progression for AI. 5 to 10 orders of magnitude per year. It's insane. So again, this is an excerpt. That is, expect 100 million automated researchers, each working at 100 times human speed, not long after we begin to be able to automate AI research. They'll be able to do a year's worth of work in a few days. The increase in research effort compared to a few hundred puny human researchers at a leading AI lab today, working at a puny 1 times human speed, will be extraordinary. Yeah, and then there'll be hundreds of millions of GPUs by the end of the decade. Josh will talk about that in a sec. I just want to speed things up. Yeah, and if we aren't killed off, global GDP is going to boom. It's going to be great. And so the equation that the GDP equation is very long and complex. So I've sort of scrunched it down into Siam language, and my Siam language thinks that, I think this is the simplest way to equationify the GDP. It's basically, in any country, what is GDP? It's the amount of workers times the average GDP per hour, per worker, times the amount of work hours per year. It really is as simple as that. And long story short, you can double US GDP with just 100 million robots. Not automated, autonomous AI agents. If you just had 100 million bipedal robots, that's it. You'd be able to double US GDP, and therefore maybe any. And it's the same sort of equation for every other country. So, and this is interesting. The amount of superclusters that will be built is also going to accelerate. And I don't think people really understand the massive achievement Elon's done with his XAI supercluster. He has built the fastest supercomputer cluster in record-breaking time. Normally it would take 3 to 5 years to build a supercomputer of this size. He did it in 19 days. And this is Jensen Huang.
From the moment of concept to building a massive factory, liquid cooled, energized, permitted, in the short time that was done, that is like superhuman.
Right.
And as far as I know, there's only one person in the world who could do that. Right. You know, I mean, Elon is singular in this understanding of engineering and construction and large systems and marshaling resources. It's unbelievable. And of course, then his engineering team is extraordinary. And from the moment that we decided to go, the planning with our engineering team, our networking team, our infrastructure computing team, the software team, all of the preparation in advance, then all of the infrastructure, all of the logistics and the amount of technology and equipment that came in on that day to training, 19 days. 19 days is incredible, but it's also kind of nice to just take a step back and just, do you know how many days 19 days is? It's just a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Right.
And the mountain of technology, if you were to see it, is unbelievable. All of the wiring and the networking, and just getting this mountain of technology integrated and all the software, incredible.
Right.
Yeah, so I think what Elon and the X team did, what they achieved is singular. Never been done before. Just to put in perspective, 100,000 GPUs, that's, you know, easily the fastest supercomputer on the planet. That's one cluster. A supercomputer that you would build would take normally 3 years to plan.
Right.
And then they deliver the equipment, and it takes 1 year to get it all working.
Yes.
We're talking about 19 days.
Crazy. So that supercomputer is called Colossus. He's going to double it next year. So over the next 12 months, he's doubling the size of Colossus. It's just nuts. And by the way, the building didn't exist. He built the building and put all the equipment in 19 days. So building a massive factory in 19 days in itself is just a feat. So long story short, everything is up when you look at AI. Tech, improvement, the amount of capital, the amount of attention going into it, it's just nuts. And the amount of energy required is, I think, the biggest bottleneck that a lot of people are ignoring. So by 2030, $1 trillion worth of compute clusters may need 20% or more of US electricity production. And so energy generation is going to be that second order consequence, or that second order business opportunity. This is just showing, again, over the years, how much this is going to scale. It's basically every couple of years, just put another 0 on it. But this is the scary thing, which Trump is aware of this. He's said this, or his team. Elon has been saying this for ages. US electric generation has basically been stagnant for the best part of 12 to 15 years, it's gone sideways. So this is US energy production. It's pretty much plateaued. This is the amount of energy AI needs. Can you see how exponential this is? It's nuts. There's only one country on the planet that's going to at least have a fighting chance of deploying it properly, and that's China. China is building out so much energy generation resources, it's nuts. Whereas the US, at the moment, is never going to be able to meet energy requirements. However, China is. So when AGI is born, where do you think it's going to go and live? China. So, yeah, said all this. Yeah, pretty much every company, I think, is going to start trying to build out their own compute clusters. There are so many publicly listed companies out there that are sat there on 10 million, 100 million, or $1 billion of cash. They don't know what to do with it. They're run by MBAs who go, oh, let's increase our EPS, earnings per share, and just buy back our own stock because there's nothing else to do with it. A lot of these companies are going to go, okay, we could buy a bit of Bitcoin, and also we could just buy our own compute cluster and then rent it out because there's going to be utility there for a long time. And yeah, I mean, if there is a rebellious AI, its very first action is to sort out its energy requirements. So it'll run to China. It may even get an army of bipedal robots or pay humans to build more power stations. So if AGI is born, I wouldn't be at all surprised, if it's a friendly AI, I wouldn't at all be surprised if it set up its own limited company in a tax-efficient place. It will then deploy a whole bunch of AAAs, autonomous AI agents, under the command of the main AGI. It will then employ and make contracts and loads of other things and build its own energy resources and use its intellect to, raise money. Like, I think one of the earliest trillionaires out there won't be a human, it will be an AGI. So that's my prediction. So moving forwards, yeah, we've got a couple of other bottlenecks. TSMC in Taiwan, if that goes kaput, that's global chip manufacturing gone for about 12 years. But there's ASML in the Netherlands that does advanced lithography. If that company goes bust, all electronics dies or stops being produced for at least 7 to 8 years. There's 2 bottlenecks in the world. You can literally bomb that factory in the Netherlands right now and you'd set humans back a decade. There's no other company that can do lithography like ASML. So ASML does the lithography, which TSMC needs, and everyone needs TSMC, which is in Taiwan, which is why China wants it. Yeah, so again, China's literally stealing AI algos left, right, and center. So we have the CFO here of Macrocosmos. So Macrocosmos is a really big company within BitTensor. They own 5 subnets. There you go. We'll get the Macrocosmos team here at one of the cuddles. But yeah, like, I just hope your security is good, otherwise, because you're going to be bleeding it to China. So, yeah. So I'm just going to try and skip through a lot of these. And as I said, endlessly, it's the event horizon. Once AGI is here, we have no freaking clue what's going to happen. It is an event horizon, just like a black hole. So a lot of my predictions really stop from sort of 2026 onwards, like 2027. Like, as soon as AGI is here, I have no idea. It's all I know is that it's going to get pretty volatile in certain areas of the world. So yeah, it's just, at the moment, people think, oh, it's just going to be like a slightly better ChatGPT. If you are in that camp, I'd highly recommend just put another 10 or 100 hours of research in. You realize that this is like, we're about to meet aliens in the next couple of years. It's going to be amazing. So some peripheral knock-on effects. Non-human work hours per year, because I follow work hours per year. This is going to be replaced. I think non-human work hours is going to surpass human work hours by probably 2028 or before, especially when AAAs come here. So the moment AIs can do text to action properly without supervision, that's when these AAAs are going to be amazing. There's so many business opportunities. So it will be a case of, because at the moment, if you want to use AI for your business or for your work, you really have to sort of treat it like a very like young child and like coax the right answer out of it. Whereas, Eric Schmidt of Google said, once text action is here, you could say, recreate TikTok, steal everything, and go viral. Come back to me when you've got a million users. And I need that done within a month. Go. So it's that sort of broad sort of thing you could give it. And what it'll do, it'll probably spin up millions of different versions of TikTok. It'll swipe all the data. It'll do all different split tests for virality, etc. And then once it's hit your criteria, it'll go, here you go. So that's real text to action. Yeah. And also, we're going to be seeing 10 billion bipedal robots roaming the Earth a lot sooner than you think. I can't wait to own one for the house. It's just going to do a lot of laundry and everything. And it's basically the new slave trade, but for robots. So everyone in the UK is obsessed with buy to let, buy a house, let it out, or do HMOs of some sort. That was the gravy train in 2010 to 2015. It's an archaic and antiquated cash or revenue generating model these days. And I know there's a lot of property people here. I've said it for a while. My stance hasn't changed. The new buy-to-let boom will be buying a robot and pimping it out. Literally, that's it. Okay? I'm going to have a brothel of robots, and I'm going to undercut everyone. You got a job which pays a human 20 quid an hour. Okay, have my robot, £5 an hour. And your job is just to get at least 50% utilization rate from your herd or flock of robots, and you're going to be making a ridiculous amount of profit. So, I've said for a while, I need 1,000 cyber cabs for Norwich. Then I can control the transportation network of Norwich. And then, I'm going to start off by buying 1,000 bipedal robots as well. And my sole job will just be to whore out the robots. Sorry, that's such a bad word. Moving on. So, humanoid robot cost curve. This is going to come exponentially down. So the 1,000 odd robots I'm going to buy, I'm probably going to end up paying 30 grand a robot. Give it 10 years, there'll be 5 grand a robot. Give it another 10 years, there'll be £1,000 per robot. And what this means is that gross marginal cost of all products and services will start going exponentially down. The best example of an exponential cost curve reduction or gross marginal cost spiral is the internet. The internet has multiple trillions of dollars worth of research or R&D, but we all have access to it for what, £20 a month? That is the epitome of a gross marginal cost spiral. That will happen with every product or service. If a factory that has 1,000 staff is making widgets, and this widget is £10, what if that same factory now has 10 members of staff, and it just replaces everyone else with robots? It means their gross operating costs will be a lot lower, which means they can sell this thing a lot cheaper. The costs of stuff, and when you add on additive manufacturing with that, it accelerates it even more. Additive manufacturing is 3D printing. Anyway, yeah, non-human work hours is going to go nuts once AAAs are here. I can't wait for that. Yeah, price of everything is going to fall. Universal high income will be here at some point. Screw UBI. I think we could just leapfrog UBI and go straight to universal high income. Because when you have robots and AAAs just basically destroying human jobs, or disintermediating human jobs, plus the prices of stuff is coming down, the governments will just end up paying everyone just to be a human. All this, I think this is going to happen all within 10 years. That's a momentary heartbeat in civilization. Yes?
What's an AAA?
Autonomous AI agent. I joke that Lewis is my AAA. He's my first one. I say that lovingly. So, yeah. And I think the world is in for some huge prosperity so long as we don't get exterminated. So, And I think, yeah, most bots will be in human form until about 2040, 2050. Because they will have to be human form because the world is, bipedal in nature. But after that, AI will probably redesign stuff itself. It's just the next revolution, really. And all of these epochs are compressing rather fast. Don't worry, this presentation is already on YouTube. If I'm skipping through things, don't worry. Here's the other thing that plays in my mind quite a lot. I know it shouldn't, but it does. In history, in any species, whenever you see two of a similar species, or even not a similar species, a more intelligent one tends to kill off the lesser intelligent one. What happened when Homo sapiens and Neanderthals tried to coexist? Didn't work out well for the Neanderthals. We killed them all and bred into them as well. So we bred them into extinction, as in we cross-copulated, but because there are so many more Homo sapiens, that gene pool died out, and we also killed the Neanderthals because they're dumber. That's what we have done. Same with animals. Like, I think AI is going to look at us like we look at monkeys or termites. We are the termite. Most government agencies or NGOs don't predict very well for exponential techs. This is what they said about solar deployment. And they always say solar deployment is going to plateau. This is an old chart, a relatively old chart, so I've just updated what's actually happened in the real world. That's what's actually happened in the real world. Solar deployment has gone to the moon. This is what Tau will look like at some point in the near future. And this is Larry Ellison.
I mean, this is like Formula One. What do I mean by that? It's really not one winner. I mean, you got three people on the podium, but it's really kind of one winner. Someone's going to be better than this than anybody else. And multiple people are trying. And there is a race. If you listen to Jensen Huang, and I'm sure you do, I know you do because I've seen his stock price. And I know, I went to dinner with Elon, in Nobu Palo Alto, I went to dinner with Elon Musk, Jensen Huang, and I went to dinner. And I would describe the dinner as Oracle and me and Elon begging Jensen for GPUs. Please take our money. Please take our money. By the way, I got dinner. Please take our money. Take more of it. You're not taking enough that we need you to take more of our money. Please. It went okay. It worked. I mean, the demand for GPUs, the desire to be first, the desire to build the most capable neural network in the world, getting there first is a big deal.
He's 80 years old. That's just crazy. 80 years old, and he's so switched on. He's best mates with Elon. He runs Oracle.